Welcome to the Books Bible Study. We are continuing in Genesis chapter 49, verse 1. And Jacob called his sons and said, Gather together, that I may tell you what shall befall you in the last days. Verse 2. Gather together and hear, you sons of Jacob, and listen to Israel your father. Verse 3. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity and the excellency of power. Verse 4. Unstable as water, you shall not excel, because you went up to your father's bed, then you defiled it. He went up to my couch. So he starts off with Reuben, his firstborn. Reuben has a consequence to him defiling his father's concubine by sleeping with her. Okay, so that lets you know your choices in life determine what it will be. But Reuben was granted the land east of the Jordan River. Okay, so verse 5 says, Simeon and Levi are brothers. Instruments of cruelty are in their dwelling place. Verse 6. Let not my soul enter their council. Let not my honor be united to their assembly. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self will they hamstrung an ox. Verse 7. Cursed be their anger, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. So again, he's handing out like consequences for the life that these specific three sons chose to live. If y'all remember, Simeon and Levi were the ones that went after Shechem for defiling their sister Dinah, right? They killed all the men. They took captive their wives, their children, and their animals. Just them two, right? So anger that is acted out can easily cause you to be on the other side of God's grace. Okay, so Simeon was located on the southern part of Judah's land, and Levi, as we know, did not have a specific allotment of land because they were the priests, right? And we know that Moses, Aaron, they were Levites. And so they just had territory scattered amongst all the other children of Israel because each tribe needed to have the priest for them, right? Verse 8, Jacob says, Judah, you are he whom your brothers shall praise. Your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's children shall bow down before you. Verse 9, Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He bows down, he lies down as a lion, and as a lion, who shall rouse him? Verse 10, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh comes. And to him shall be the obedience of the people. So the dominion, the rulership, the headship, kingship would not depart from Judah. There will always be a ruler from the house of Judah. And we know this, Caleb was from Judah, David, Solomon, and of course Jesus came from the tribe of Judah, which he is the final king. And there was a point where Judah went into exile, right? But there always remained some form of government within this tribe. And Judah that was southern Israel, right? Jerusalem, Hebron, Bethlehem, that was the territory that Judah was. Verse 11 says, binding his donkey to the vine and his donkey's colt to the choice vine, he washed his garments in wine and his clothes in the blood of grapes. Very wealthy, right? Very prosperous. Verse 12, his eyes are darker than wine and his teeth whiter than milk. So those two verses emphasizes Judah's prosperity in the land that he was promised. And this tribe, as we know, was a primary military tribe, right? They took the lead on conquering all of southern Canaan, right? So they fought and fought and fought, and we're going to hear about some of the different battles that they fought and won, okay? Verse 13, Zebulun, this is Jacob giving instruction, blessing, or curses, it appears, to his sons, right? Zebulun shall dwell by the haven of the sea. He shall become a haven for ships, and his border shall adjoin Sidon. So it appears that Jacob is also prophesying the location, right? Not just saying what will happen, but also the location of his sons' final dwelling places in the land of Canaan. Zebulun had the northern region by the Sea of Galilee. Okay, verse 14. He continues, Issachar is a strong donkey, lying down between two burdens. Verse 15. He saw that rest was good, and that the land was pleasant. He bowed his shoulder to bear a burden and became a band of slaves. Right? So God is who appoints the limits to our duties, to our habitation, to our lineage. And Issachar would be a strong tribe, mostly inclined to hard labor, right? Working in the fields in the fertile Jezreel Valley. Verse 16. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. 17. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, a viper by the path, that bites the horse's heel, so that its rider shall fall backward. Verse 18. I have waited for your salvation, O Lord. Dan would conquer his enemies by strategy and craft more than by strength and force, right? So we have Judah, also Gad. They're valiant warriors, but Dan would conquer his enemies by strategy and craft. Dan was in the Philistine territory and then began to migrate north. Samson, the judge, who was tricked by Delilah, right? He was from the tribe of Dan. Verse 19. Gad, a troop shall tramp upon him, but he shall triumph at last. Like I said, Gad, they were men of war. They were situated around the Ammonites and the Moabites. If you remember who the Ammonites and the Moabites were, right? They were the children of Lot's daughters through incest, right? Remember, they got, after they left Sodom and Gomorrah, the daughters of Lot got him drunk and had children by him who were the Ammonites and the Moabites. So Gad was situated around them, east of the Jordan, south of where Reuben was. And although Judah was the most military dominant because of the amount of battles they fought, Gad had the reputation of being the most elite, most battle ready to go, right? And they finally conquered them during David and Saul's time, right? Verse 20 says, bread from Asher shall be rich, and he shall yield royal dainties. So Asher would be prosperous, and the land would yield its abundance in food. Okay, the best food. Okay, they had the northwest coast of Phoenicia. And Anna in the New Testament was the one that recognized Jesus as a child. She was from the tribe of Asher. Verse 21. Naphtali is a deer let loose. He uses beautiful words. So Naphtali, very eloquent, not wild, but agile, very confident. They settled in northern Israel, later known as Galilee. One of the military leaders, Barak, who worked with prophetess Deborah, which we'll read about later, led Israel to victory against Sisera, which we'll read about when we get to Judges. Okay, verse 22. Joseph is a fruitful bow by a well. His branches run over the wall. Verse 23. The archers have bitterly grieved him, shot at him, and hated him. Verse 24. But his bow remained in strength, and the arm of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty God of Jacob. From there is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. Verse 25. By the God of your father who will help you, and by the Almighty who will bless you with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lies beneath, blessings of the breast and of the womb. Verse 26. The blessings of your father have excelled the blessing of my ancestors up to the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him who has separate from his brothers. So we know Joseph was separated into two. His two sons were counted as tribes as well. The tribe of Ephraim, which was central Israel, the hill country, and we know that Joshua, that led Israel into Canaan, was from this tribe. And then the tribe of Manasseh, Joseph's other son, was west of the Jordan and east of the Jordan. So they settled one on one side, one on the other side. And we know that Gideon was from the tribe of Manasseh. So remember, Joseph had two portions. So Ephraim and Manasseh, Joseph's sons, were counted as a part of the tribes of Israel. Verse 27, Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. So Benjamin's territory was north of Judah, and it included the area by Jericho and Jerusalem. And we know Saul and Jonathan, right, were from the King Saul, his son Jonathan. They were from the Benjamin tribe. And then we also know Paul the Apostle, the writer of most of the letters of the New Testament, was from the tribe of Benjamin as well. Verse 28, all these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is what their father spoke to them. And he blessed them. He blessed each one according to his own blessing. Verse 29, then he charged them and said to them, I am to be gathered to my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite. Verse 30, in the cave that is in the field of Machpelah, which is before Mamre in the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought with the field of Ephron the Hittite as a possession for a burial place. Verse 31, and they buried Abraham and Sarah his wife. There they buried Abraham and Sarah his wife. There they buried Isaac and Rebekah his wife. And there I buried Leah. Verse 32, the field and the cave that is there were purchased from the sons of Heth. Verse 33, and when Jacob had finished commanding his sons, he drew his feet up into the bed and breathed his last and was gathered to his people. So, just for geographical purposes, in the south we had Judah and Simeon, right? In the central part we had Benjamin, Ephraim, and Manasseh. In the northern part we had Naphtali, Zebulun, Issachar, Asher, and Dan. And then east of the Jordan, you had Reuben, Gad, and the other half of Manasseh. And then scattered throughout each tribe, of course, was the tribe of Levi. These were the Levites over the things in the tabernacle, right? The priests. And so that's how they got to where they were. These were the blessings that their father spoke upon them. And each thing that the father said is actually what ends up happening in the lives of these sons. So as I've said, I think the past two, maybe 3 chapters, it is important what you speak, the blessings that you speak, the curses that you speak. A lot of times we don't like to hear people say curse words, but we don't realize the other words that we say that are curses just because it's not profanity, right? So we should be more concerned with the curses that we speak that is not profanity, because that's what's going to go generation to generation. And we'll see how long these words been spoken, right? You see how long the words of the previous fathers, Isaac and Abraham, how long their words being spoken is manifesting in the lives of their children and their children's children. So this is something that I believe God definitely put here to let us know before we even get to the scripture about taming the tongue, and the tongue, in the tongue is the power of life and death. He's showing you how it is the power of life and death. And so we have a clear example of how we should bless our children, right? And so we'll see solutions, as you will hear me continue to say, there are solutions in the Bible, and we could go the way that they went and end up where they ended up, or we could choose the way that is best, which is the way that God says that we should be. So that concludes chapter 49, our last chapter. Please stay with us, chapter 50 of Genesis, and then, of course, we will move on to Exodus.